Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Tap that like button to show some love. It means the world and really helps share this story with others who need to hear it. I appreciate you. Before everything fell apart, I truly believed I was one of the lucky ones. My name's Joe. 10 years ago, I was just a regular guy. I'm the kind of man who comes home every night, kisses his wife on the forehead, and reads bedtime stories to our son, Ryan. He was 3 years old back then, just starting to talk in complete sentences. He loved dinosaurs and peanut butter sandwiches with the crust cut off, and my wife, Marisa, she was beautiful, the kind of woman who could light up a room just by walking in. We had what I thought was a good life. Our house wasn't big, but it was filled with laughter. Saturday mornings were for pancakes with honey, Sunday afternoons for family walks at the park, and our neighbors, Donald and Stacy, were part of that picture-perfect routine. They were like family to us. Sunday BBQs in the summer, Christmas lights competitions in December. Donald was a tech consultant, smooth-talking, and always flashing his newest gadget. Stacy was sweet, quiet, the type of woman who baked cookies just because it was Thursday. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. At first, it was little things. Marisa would mention Donald in passing a lot more. Donald said the funniest thing today. Donald recommended this new series, so we should try it. She started dressing up more, even when she was just running to the store. Sometimes there are late-night errands. We're out of milk, she'd say after around 9 p.m., even though we had 2 full gallons in the fridge. But I was blind. I thought maybe she was just tired. Maybe she needed space. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband. So I trusted her. Until one day, I came home from work early, just after noon. I wasn't supposed to be home. And as I pulled into the driveway, I saw something that stopped my heart cold. Marisa, in Donald's car, parked right outside our house. They were kissing, not a hello kiss, not an accident, a full-on lips-locked, world-disappearing kiss. And in that moment, everything I thought I knew shattered. I didn't make a sound. I just sat in my car, watching the woman I loved, the mother of my child, kiss our married neighbor like I didn't exist, like the life we built didn't matter. Eventually, they pulled apart. She laughed, touched his face, then casually walked into our house, as if nothing had happened. I waited 5 minutes, walked in through the front door, heart pounding in my throat. She was at the sink, rinsing dishes like she hadn't just torn my world into pieces. Marisa, I said quietly. She turned, saw my face, and for a moment, just that once, I saw guilt. Then it vanished. Didn't deny it. Didn't fall to her knees or beg for forgiveness. Instead, she crossed her arms and said, "So, I guess you saw." That was it. Like I'd caught her stealing cookies, not wrecking 2 marriages. "How long?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. 6 months, she said, just like that. No hesitation. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. 6 months. That meant birthday parties, family dinners, holidays, all while she was sneaking around with him. Asked her why. I needed to understand what I did wrong, what I missed. She shrugged and said something I'll never forget. "Joe, I'm not happy. I haven't been for a long time. Donald makes me feel alive. He listens. He makes me feel like a woman again." She made it sound so casual, like her happiness was worth destroying a marriage, worth abandoning our son. I asked her about Ryan. What about our child? She just said, "He's young, he'll adjust." That night, she packed a single bag and left. No goodbye hug for Ryan, no explanations. She moved in with Donald by the weekend. Left me and our 3-year-old son to pick up the pieces. She visited once, maybe twice that year. Each time, she'd bring a toy and leave early. Each time, Ryan cried when she walked out the door. Eventually, I stopped telling him she was coming, because she rarely did. And Stacy? She was broken, her marriage ripped apart by the man she trusted. She called me once, weeks after the affair went public. We didn't even speak, just sat in silence on the phone, both crying quietly. Two families, torn apart by two selfish people, who thought feeling alive was more important than loyalty. But karma has a funny way of circling back, and Marissa's was just getting started. The night Marissa left, I sat in Ryan's room after he'd finally cried himself to sleep. His little dinosaur pajamas were soaked with tears. He kept asking, "Where's Mommy? Why did she go with Mr. Donald? How do you answer that? How do you tell a 3-year-old that his mom traded him in for a neighbor with better abs and a shinier car?" I didn't sleep that night, or the night after that, because suddenly, I was it. The only parent, the only shoulder, the only voice singing lullabies in the dark. Everything became harder. Grocery runs turned into strategic military operations. Bath time meant mopping water off the ceiling. Doctor visits? Don't even get me started. There were moments I just sat, in the car in the driveway. Hands on the wheel, eyes closed, trying to summon the energy to walk inside. Meanwhile, Marissa. She was out there playing second wife to Donald, attending weekend wineries and pretending she didn't have a son, who missed her every night. She texted maybe once a month. Usually something vague like, "How's Ryan?" But she never called, never asked to visit, and when I offered, she always had some excuse. Work trips, not a good time. Eventually, I stopped responding. Because she didn't want to be a mom, she wanted to feel free. The one person who seemed to understand was Stacy. Yeah, Donald's wife. At first, our connection was simple. We'd exchange quick texts. "How are you holding up?" "Ryan won't sleep tonight." "Same here." "Want to talk?" She'd stop by to drop off something small. Cookies, a toy for Ryan, a card. Each time she looked a little stronger. Each time I felt a little less alone. One night, maybe a year after the whole thing exploded, she showed up with a lasagna. We sat on the porch, listening to the summer bugs chirping in the background. She said, "Isn't it crazy? They left us behind to chase their fantasy, and now we're the ones surviving it." And that's exactly what we were doing. Surviving. Over time, something changed. Ryan adored her. He'd light up when she came over. One day, he even called her Mommy Stacy by accident. She froze. I froze. Then we both smiled. That was the first time I thought, maybe there's life after betrayal. It wasn't fast. We didn't jump into each other's arms. We healed slowly, piece by piece. But what we built was stronger because of it. By year 3, we were in love. By year 4, married. We blended our families, the right way, with care, honesty, and real effort. And Ryan? He grew up knowing what real love looked like. Two people choose each other every single day. And what did Marissa do during all this? She faded into the background. The text stopped. The visits vanished. It was like she'd never been there at all. It was a Friday night. Rain was coming down hard, like the sky was angry. I had just tucked Ryan in. He was 13 now, taller than me, when he stood on his toes. Stacy and I were finishing a movie on the couch when there was a knock at the door. Not the friendly, casual kind. It was hesitant, almost guilty. I opened the door, and there she was. Marissa, 10 years older. Hair soaked, mascara smeared like she'd been crying the whole way here. "Joe," she said, voice trembling. "Can we talk?" For a second, I just stood there, like I was looking at a ghost that once tore my world apart. Stacy walked into the hallway and froze when she saw her. The air thickened. "It's okay," I told Stacy. She didn't say anything, just turned and walked quietly back into the kitchen. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. Rain hit my shoulders as I looked Marissa in the eyes. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice calm but cold. She swallowed hard. "I made a mistake, a huge one." I almost laughed. "It took you 10 years to figure that out." And then she said the thing I didn't see coming. "Donald's dead." I blinked. "What?" "Car accident. 3 months ago. He was driving late. hit black ice. Didn't make it. She paused. He had no life insurance. His family won't speak to me. I lost everything. My heart didn't break. It didn't even flinch. I nodded slowly. I'm sorry for your loss. She looked up at me, eyes pleading. Joe, I have nowhere to go. I know I don't deserve this, but I miss you. I miss Ryan. I miss us. This woman who hadn't called in years, who left her child without a second thought, who traded her family for a fantasy. Now she was back because her fantasy ended in a wreck. She stepped closer. Please, just give me a chance to explain. Let me see him. I just want to be part of his life again. Maybe we could— She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. She wanted me back. Not because she loved me, but because I was safe. I was her plan B now, because her main plan was 6 feet under. I shook my head. No, Marisa, you don't get to come back. You left. You chose Donald. You never once looked back. Her face crumbled. But I'm his mother. No, I said, cutting her off. Stacy is his mother now. She's the one who stayed, the one who showed up, the one who held him when he cried because you didn't. She burst into tears, covered her face with her hands like the guilt finally hit. But it was too late. Way, way too late. I opened the door. Goodbye, Marisa. And I closed it behind me. I stood in the hallway for a moment after I shut the door on Marisa. The silence was thick. Stacy walked out, holding 2 cups of tea. She looked at me, her eyes searching my face. You okay? She asked gently. I nodded. Then I smiled. Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I actually am. We sat down together side by side like we always did. No drama, no games, just quiet, steady love, the kind that doesn't fade when the storm comes, the kind of Marisa never understood. That weekend, I finally told Ryan what happened. We sat down in his room. I looked at my son, 13 years old, sharp as a tack, but with a heart that still ached, in places he didn't talk about. Your mom came by, I said. His eyes widened, but he didn't speak. Just waited. She wanted to see you. She said she missed you, that she made a mistake. He nodded slowly, then asked the question I wasn't expecting. Did you let her in? No. He was quiet for a moment, then looked at me and said, Good. She made her choice. We're better without her. That hit me hard, not because it was harsh, but because it was true. This boy had grown up without the woman who gave birth to him, and somehow he still became kind, loyal, strong, thanks to Stacy, thanks to the love that showed up. And Marisa? Well, her perfect dream imploded. After Donald died, she had nowhere to go. She wasn't in his will. No house, no inheritance. She was just the mistress he shacked up with while pretending his real life didn't exist. She tried reaching out to old friends, but most of them had quietly distanced themselves years ago. Even her own sister, who once defended her, told her, You walked out on your family. Don't act surprised when they don't welcome you back. I later heard through a mutual acquaintance that Marisa was living in a small apartment above a laundromat in another town, working 2 jobs, alone, and the kicker? She started sending me letters, handwritten ones, pleading, apologizing, begging me to let her see Ryan, telling me how much she missed our life, the simple dinners, the sound of Ryan laughing, even the way I used to make coffee in the mornings. She described her loneliness like it was a prison, but that prison had one builder, herself. I never wrote back, not to punish her, but because some doors should stay closed. We don't always get second chances, especially when we walk away from the people who are willing to weather life with us. I look at Stacy every morning, and I know she was the real one all along. And Ryan? He calls her mom now, because biology means nothing if you never showed up. Marisa may have thought the grass was greener with Donald, but now she's standing in the ruins of her own decisions, and I'm here with the life she threw away, smiling, loved, and never looking back. About 6 months after Marissa showed up at our doorstep, I got a letter in the mail, certified, hand-signed. It wasn't another emotional apology or desperate plea. This one had a legal header. She was suing me. For visitation rights. I sat at the kitchen table, the letter trembling slightly in my hands. I couldn't believe it. After abandoning Ryan for 10 years, 0 birthdays, no calls, no holidays, she now wanted to drag us into court and force herself back into his life. I read the paperwork twice. She was claiming she had every intention to reconnect, and that I had unfairly denied her access as a mother. I'll be honest, my first reaction was rage, but then I laughed. She didn't care about Ryan. She cared about control. She couldn't handle being forgotten. I talked to my lawyer the next day. We gathered everything: old texts, emails, dated photos, receipts. We showed a judge 10 years of silence. 10 years of absence. But the part that really sealed it, Ryan testified. He stood up in that courtroom, voice cracking but steady, and told the judge, "She's not my mom. Stacy is. The only time I saw her was when she walked away from me. I don't want her in my life." The room went silent. Marissa broke down, crying, sobbing, saying, "I just want to fix what I broke." The judge ruled in our favor. Full custody remained with me. Marissa was denied visitation, indefinitely. As we walked out of the courtroom, Ryan grabbed Stacy's hand, and right then, I knew she wasn't just filling in. She was the real mother, the one who showed up, the one who stayed. Marissa sat alone on that courtroom bench, no one beside her. Just like the day she walked away, she thought she could come back and rewrite the story, change the ending, force herself back into the happy life she abandoned. But what she didn't realize was the chapter was already closed. Ryan is 17 now, graduating next year. He's got dreams of college and maybe even medical school. He's smart, steady, kind. Exactly the kind of young man I'd always hoped he'd become. And Stacy? She's more than just my wife. She's the reason our family survived. She turned a house filled with heartbreak into a home full of healing. Sometimes people ask me if I ever think about letting Marissa back in, letting her see Ryan, letting her explain. But here's the truth. When someone chooses to burn a bridge, they don't get to complain about the ashes. Marissa made her choice. She just never thought we'd move on without her. But we did. We thrived. And every time I see Stacy and Ryan laughing in the kitchen, or when we sit around the fire pit on a quiet Friday night, I realize something powerful. The life she abandoned became the life she'll never get to touch again. Not out of revenge, not out of cruelty, but because sometimes closure isn't about letting someone back in. It's about closing the door and locking it for good. If this story hit you in the heart, tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to rebuild your life after betrayal? Share this story with someone who needs to hear that moving on is the best revenge. Hit like if you believe that loyalty still matters, and subscribe for more real stories of heartbreak, healing, and hard-earned peace. Because in the end, the people who leave don't deserve to write your ending. Only you do.